Hello and welcome to the in-depth series section of Drishti IAS. I am Aisha, and in today's episode we will be discussing about the topic that Port Blair will be renamed as Sri Vijayapuram. So recently in the last 5 years we have seen that the present government is changing names of the places, and one of the main reason or one of the main aim of it that to get away or to shed off the colonial lineage or to shed off the colonial weightage or the colonial significance which was being shown by the name of the few places, and now those names are being changed to the Indian names or the names which signify India's pride or India's freedom struggle. And in this series of name change, one more addition is being done, and that is the Port Blair is being renamed as Sri Vijayapuram. Now Port Blair, we all have heard the name of Andaman and Nicobar, the Union Territory. So the capital of Andaman and Nicobar is Port Blair, or you can say the entry point to Andaman and Nicobar is Port Blair. So let us look at it. So the points of discussion that we will be going through is, first of all, about the news, then how did Port Blair get its name, like how did Port Blair became Port Blair, then the process to rename a state, that is Article 3 of the Indian Constitution, significance of the move to change the name, then Port Blair's connection with the Imperial Cholas, and in the end prelims practice question. Topic is of relevance from GS paper 2, that is polity. As we move forward, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. The news talks about that Port Blair renamed as Sri Vijayapuram, how the city got its name and its connection with the Imperial Cholas. So there are few points that we will be looking into. First of all, the name change, how the city got its name, connection with the Imperial Cholas, and also about the Article 3. Even though the Article 3 talks about the name change of a state, but here what has happened is that the Andaman and Nicobar is a union territory and it is being administered by a lieutenant governor. So in this case, the complete concept of the state will not come into being, because this is not a state, it is the capital of a union territory, and union territory is directly run by the center. But overall, what becomes important is to know about the Article 3, that how the name change of a state takes place, because that is being given in the Indian Constitution. So let us first of all begin. So Port Blair, which is the capital city of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, will now be known by the name of Sri Vijayapuram, and the decision of changing the name was inspired by the vision of the government, that is to free the nation from colonial imprint. Why do we need to keep the name which signifies or which takes forward the legacy that India was ruled by the British at some point of time? We need to give respect, and we need to give respect to the Indian freedom struggle and rename these places in the names of the freedom fighters or India's pride or India's culture or India's tradition, something which defines or something which signifies the Indian freedom struggle, as this will also give a boost to the feeling of the nationalism among the people. Then, while the earlier name had a colonial legacy, and the Sri Vijayapuram symbolizes the victory achieved in our freedom struggle and the Andaman and Nicobar unique role in the India's freedom struggle. So first of all, let us see the location of Port Blair. Now this is the map of Andaman and Nicobar, and Andaman and Nicobar lies in the Bay of Bengal, and there are many set of islands, but basically it is like the northern side is the Andaman group of islands, while the southern side is the Nicobar group of islands, and the most southern point is the Great Nicobar, and the Great Nicobar development or redevelopment project always remains in news. So this is the map of Andaman and Nicobar. Then we have the Port Blair. So this is the location of the Port Blair. Port Blair is situated in Andaman. Okay, this is the location of the Port Blair, the capital of Andaman and Nicobar. Now let us talk about that how did Port Blair get its name. So how Port Blair became Port Blair. So it is a story. So Port Blair can be considered as an entry point to the Andaman and Nicobar because basically the airport, the international airport is situated in the Port Blair. Then it is named after Archibald Blair, who was a naval surveyor and a lieutenant in the Bombay Marine. So basically the name Port Blair is after the Archibald Blair and he was a naval surveyor. Then the Archibald Blair was the first officer to carry out a thorough survey of the Andaman Island. So for the first time, the thorough survey of the Andaman Island was done by the Archibald Blair. So he was basically is the person who actually identified the Andaman and Nicobar and its potential and about its strategic location and how important role it can play as being a place where the naval base or the army base or the air force base can be put, or it can be a strategic location to look into the international trade which passes through the Bay of Bengal. Then after joining the Bombay Marine in 1771, Archibald Blair set out on a survey mission along the coasts of India, Iran and Arabia. So it is not that he has done the survey of only Andaman, he had done a survey of many other places also, like for example India, Iran and Arabia. Then by the late 1780s, he had participated in the number of survey missions. Then in 1778, Blair left for his first surveying voyage of the Andamans from Calcutta along with two ships, that is Elizabeth and Viper. And there in his voyage to know about the Andaman, he actually identified the every corner of the Andaman and the exact location and the strategic location of the Andaman. And then the East India Company also realized that how great this discovery is of the Archibald Blair. Then he reached the natural harbor which he initially named as Port Cornwallis. So Port Blair initially was not called Port Blair. Initially it was called Port Cornwallis. And who was Port Cornwallis? So Cornwallis was the commander-in-chief of the British Indian Army. So Port Blair was earlier known as Port Cornwallis and later on it was renamed on the name of Archibald Blair as Port Blair. So Port Blair did not become Port Blair initially, it was Port Cornwallis and then it was made Port Blair. Then Blair had already returned to England in the year 1795. Then what happened was, then looking and realizing at how the strategic importance the Andaman Island was of, so the East India Company decided to colonize the island so that no one else can take control of it. So they decided to colonize the islands and they established as a safe harbor from where it could keep a check on whatever is going in the Malay Peninsula. Then what else was there? That because Andaman was not directly connected to the mainland India, so several convicts was being transported to these islands to serve unpaid labor or begar. The island soon became a penal colony. It means that because they were far away from the mainland India, so if any person commits any crime, so Andaman Island was used as a penal colony. It means anyone who had to serve a punishment comes to the Andaman. Then the revolt of 1857 resulted in a large number of prisoners from the British, prompting the immediate renovation and resettlement of Port Blair as a penal colony. Then during the War of 1857, also known as the First War of Independence, and which actually gave a severe setback to the British. So at that point of time, the British realized that the mass movement and the and the power that the Indian masses had. So they took some strict action with regard to the reorganization of the East India Company and how the East India Company ruled in India. So what happened was, to give punishment to people, they were sending the Indians to the Andaman Island. Then, strengthening of the Indian independence movement in the late 19th century, a huge cellular jail was established in 1906. So cellular jail is the image that I showed in the beginning. Let me again show it to you. Okay, this is the image of the cellular jail, and it was a huge jail, and all the people who came here for punishment was in cellular jail. So the cellular jail was popularly known as the Kala Pani because it was not connected to the mainland India. So it was thought that this was the perfect location to give punishment to anyone, because the person cannot escape from that place. The mode of escape from that place was very, very difficult, as it was covered from all the side by water. So it was also known as Kala Pani, as it housed several freedom fighters, including Veer Damodar Savarkar. So this is how Port Blair became Port Blair. Now, process to rename a state. Now, this is important because this is something that can be asked in the examination, and that is about Article 3. And this is with regard to the name and change of name of a state. I am again repeating, of a state. Then process to rename a state. So, Parliament has the power to change the name of the state. And who has given this power to the Parliament? It is the Indian Constitution. And under Article 3 of the Indian Constitution, which explicitly talks about, or it lays down a procedure to alter the area, boundary or name of a state. It means, imagine that Uttar Pradesh or Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan, or if any of the state wants to change the name of itself or boundary of that state or the area of that state, then that can be done by Article 3. And Article 3 has a procedure given in it that how it can be done. Then the process can be initiated by either the Parliament or the State Assembly. Now, the state which wants to change its name, if it has a State Assembly, then that State Assembly can also initiate the process of change of name or boundary or area of the state, or the Parliament can also do it. So, the two entities have the power to initiate the process. That is, first is Parliament, second is State Assembly. Then, State Legislature sends a proposal in the form of a resolution to the central government. So, state can also initiate the procedure. Then, in Parliament, it needs recommendation from the President. So, if the State Legislature initiates the process and that process or resolution tends to take place or tends to be presented in the Parliament, then that resolution needs prior recommendation from the President of India. Then legislation of that state must be presented with the bill. Then the views or suggestion of the state legislature are not enforceable against the President or the Parliament. Now, if the state legislature initiates the process or the process is initiated in the Parliament, then the Parliament will pass the bill and will also ask the state legislature or will give the bill to the state legislature for if the state legislature wants to recommend any changes in it. But the changes which are recommended by the state legislature are not enforceable. It is not binding. And if the state legislature does not respond in the prescribed time period, then the Parliament it is not binding on the Parliament to listen to what the state legislature is saying, and they can overpower what the state legislature is saying and can pass the bill on its own. Then, if Parliament wants, it can dismiss the opinion of the state legislature. So, Parliament has overriding powers over the state legislature. Then, bill, like any ordinary bill, must be passed with the simple majority. Simple majority means that 50% of the members present and voting. It means the total, it means the 50% of the strength. It means if there are 400 members present, then 50% of that members present needs to vote, and plus 1 of that 50%. If 400 members are present, then 201 vote if someone gets, or the resolution will get, then the bill will be passed. Then bill is then sent to the president for approval, and if the president gives the approval, then the bill will become the act, and if the president does not give approval, then the bill will not become an act, or the bill will not be considered passed. So in the end, it is on the president to either agree or disagree. So after the said bill gets approved, it becomes a law and the name of the state stands modified. So this is what is the process of the change of a name, boundary or area of a state, and this is what is given in Article 3 of the Indian Constitution. Then significance of the move. Now what is the significance that the government in the last 5 years is doing, that is changing name that can shed away the colonial legacy and can focus on India's freedom struggle or freedom movement. So shedding the colonial legacy associated with the former. So shedding the colonial legacy and recognize Andaman and Nicobar's contribution to the Indian freedom struggle. And the few of the examples that in the recent past the government has changed name. So that is the Ross Island the name has been changed to Subhash Chandra Bose Dweep. Then Neil Island has been changed to Shahid Dweep, or the Havelock Island the name has been changed to Swaraj Dweep. So this is few of the example, and the recent addition will be Port Blair. Now Port Blair's connection with the Imperial Cholas. How is it connected to the Imperial Cholas? So Andaman Islands were used as a strategic naval base by the 11th century Chola Emperor. So we all know that during the time of Cholas, one of the major strength of the Cholas were its naval power, the navy that it had. So the Andaman was the strategic naval base during the time of 11th century by the Chola Emperor Rajendra I to carry out an attack on Sri Vijaya, and Sri Vijaya at this point of time is Indonesia. Then the inscription is found at Thanjavur and it is dated 1050 CE, and it talks about, or it refers Cholas to the island as Ma Nakkavaram Island, or the Great Open Naked Land. So the inscription which is found at Thanjavur, it talks about the Andaman Island as Great Open Naked Land, which possibly led to the modern name of Nicobar under the British. But the word possibly is written. Do not think that it is confirmed. The word possibly is written. So this is how it is connected with the Imperial Cholas, that is strategic naval base during the time of the Chola Emperor Rajendra I. Now in the end, a prelims MCQ. So this was all about the Port Blair, its history, Article 3. Now prelims MCQ, which article of the Indian Constitution deals with laying down a procedure to alter the area, boundary or name of the state? That is Article 4, Article 1, Article 2 or Article 3 of the Indian Constitution. We have discussed this one, so give me the answer in the comment section. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.